Hello Bond fans and welcome to my latest 007 movie review, where today I review the 13th film in the James Bond film series, which is Roger Moore's 6th movie as 007, Octopussy. Released in 1983 and directed by John Glen, once again, who directed the previous film, For Your Eyes Only. So, Octopussy, the basic plot of this film is as follows. A fake Fabergé egg and a fellow agent's death lead James Bond to uncover an international jewel smuggling operation headed by the mysterious Octopussy, being used to disguise a nuclear attack on NATO forces. There we go, that is the plot of Octopussy. So, Octopussy, well, this is the 6th film in the Roger Moore era, and in his penultimate movie, of course his next movie will be his last. Octopussy, I know, is a film that gets a kind of a lukewarm response. It's very mixed in terms of what the fans think of it. In terms of my opinion on the film, I think Octopussy is a good Bond movie, but not a great one. I've always kind of had the same response to Octopussy over the years. For me, this is definitely one of the weaker Roger Moore films. I do think it's a slightly bit better than For Your Eyes Only, but I don't know how much of a compliment that really is. For me, this is a popcorn-munching, decent, fun Bond movie. It's a good 2 hours, 10 minutes to spare, and yeah, that's kind of the main things I can say about it. The story is by no means a masterpiece. It's just simply fun, easy enough to follow, doesn't really require you to think too much. But it's not the most inventive of Bond movies. It does come across as a bit generic. And generic doesn't necessarily have to be a criticism, it can be a compliment in a way. I mean, this film sticks to the Bond formula very well. However, it does feel very formulaic, it does feel kind of like more of the same rather than more. Roger Moore. As for Roger Moore himself, this is his 6th film as Bond, and as you could probably anticipate, this is possibly one of his weaker performances. Not that he's bad in the movie. I don't think Roger Moore is bad in this film. I just think he's starting to show his age. He's getting a bit more tired in some of the action sequences, and he's kind of struggling to keep up with the momentum of this film, and as a result, the pacing of the film kind of is affected by this. Don't get me wrong, the action sequences in this film are good, and are an improvement over For Your Eyes Only, but Roger Moore is 55 in this movie. Roger Moore is 55 in this film. And he's still got one more movie to go. This is kind of worrying. Okay, he does his best in the scenes, but when he's like, there are moments when you see him running and you can tell he's like, yeah, he's getting on a bit. It's time to slow down now, Rog. It's time to slow down. That being said, Roger Moore still has his charm with the ladies, and he still manages to charm Octopussy. I think the chemistry between Bond and Octopussy is very good. And it's lovely because, obviously, Maud Adams returns to play the part, and they obviously knew each other. They've had chemistry in The Man with the Golden Gun. In this film, Maud Adams and Roger Moore have a great chemistry, and it's almost good. Like that moment when Bond kisses her and he says, "We are two of a kind." You do feel like, yeah, they are actually. Bond and Octopussy are a similar age, and you know, she could potentially be a Bond girl that he could settle down with. Not that they imply that, of course, but if Bond were to have made that decision, he could have done that, because she's the right age for him. On that subject, Maud Adams as Octopussy, she's great in the movie. I think she gives a good performance, and she plays a very different character to what she played in The Man with the Golden Gun. In The Man with the Golden Gun, there was that rather forceful scene where Bond was slapping her around. She played Andrea, the trapped girlfriend of Scaramanga. In this film, Octopussy is kind of a prisoner of Kamal Khan, kind of not. I don't really know. It's a bit difficult to explain. I think Octopussy is head of a jewel smuggling initiative. That's kind of it, really. But yeah, but it's lovely to see Maud Adams come back. And again, the chemistry with her and Roger Moore is great. And it's nice to see them actually being more affectionate to each other in this film, as compared to The Man with the Golden Gun. The other Bond girl of this movie is Kristina Wayborn as Magda. Now, Magda is a much younger Bond girl, and she is the Bond girl we focus on in the earlier stages of the film. She is working with Kamal Khan to stop Bond, and she actually ends up sleeping with Bond to steal the Fabergé egg. And I must admit, the chemistry between Roger Moore and Kristina Wayborn, it's a little awkward. I just think Magda is too young for Roger Moore. I think Kristina Wayborn is too young a Bond girl for Roger Moore. I mean, she's not as young as Bebe in the previous movie, God no, but still. I think Kristina Wayborn's performance isn't great as Magda. She's okay, but she doesn't have as I said, she doesn't have chemistry with Roger Moore. She is there to be a pretty face, and by God, she is a stunning girl. She is a beautiful girl, but in the acting department, it's not really there. And I just don't buy him actually winning her over, to be honest, because he seems like he's too old for her. Speaking of which, in that scene in the bed has that famous line of, "Forgive my curiosity, but what is that?" "That's my little Octopussy." Oh, come on. This film definitely is bringing back more of the campier, cheesy moments. Louis Jourdan as Kamal Khan, the villain. Kamal Khan is a great villain. I think he is much better than Christatos was in the previous film, and I like the performance very much. Louis Jourdan has this really kind of creepy, eerie way of saying things. Some of his best lines in the film are, "Mr. Bond is a rare species, soon to be extinct. You have a nasty habit of surviving. Octopussy. Octopussy." So he's just very creepy and very threatening, and he's not a very physically tall man, but I love that scene in the casino when Bond outwits him with the dice. It's all in the wrist. That scene is brilliant, and you can see that his blood is boiling as soon as Bond is winning over the in the game. Although they do rip off a moment in Goldfinger. I think it's meant to be a homage, but it just comes across as them kind of copying the film. When Gobinder, the henchman, crushes the die in his hand, that is an immediate reference to Oddjob crushing the golf ball in Goldfinger. I don't know if that's really necessary. I guess, speaking of the villains as a whole, Gobinder is... he's okay. He's just another one of the same henchmen. He's just silent but deadly, although he does have a few more lines than I remember. He's just the muscle. There's no character there, really. Not like Jaws or Oddjob. And Stephen Berkoff as the General, General Orlov, I believe. He's okay. He doesn't really get a lot to do, though, so yeah, his appearance is kind of wasted, I think. I don't know what it was about this film, but John Glen decided to add in a load more campier elements. Another thing that shows Roger Moore's age is Miss Moneypenny's assistant, Miss Penelope Smallbone or something. I mean, what? Why would this young girl be drafted in as an assistant to a secretary? Not only that, but why would she have the hots for a man who is 55? Ugh, that's just a bit creepy, really. This is probably one of the weakest Moneypenny scenes of the entire series, just for the inclusion of her assistant. If you took away the assistant, then that would have been fine. It would have been okay, because Roger Moore and Lois Maxwell are a similar age. They're fine. It's when the young assistant starts flirting with Bond, and then when he enters the office, she goes, "Oh." You just go, ugh. Also, to add insult to injury, the campier elements coming back. This movie is set around a circus, right? And we get James Bond dressing up in a clown suit. Yeah. Now, don't get me wrong. I understand that Bond was in pursuit. You know, someone was pursuing him and he had to get a disguise and he was near a circus, so obviously the clown suit was fine. How does Bond have the time to get all his makeup done and put the red nose on? How does he have the time to do that? Literally, there are people chasing him right then and there. He shouldn't have the time to do that, and for one thing, it just looks ridiculous. What the hell was John Glen thinking when he was making that? It's just silly, it's just ridiculous, and it diffuses any tension in that bomb scene, because the bomb is about to go off, Bond is panicking, he's like, "Damn it man, there's a bomb in there!" But he's dressed like a clown, and it just takes me out of the moment. It really takes me out of the moment, which is a real shame. Also, the worst action scene of the film, for me, is the scene when Bond escapes the palace and he's going into the jungle. He comes across the tiger and he tells it to sit. What? And then he does the Tarzan swing. They even add the sound effects of him going, oh, it's just ridiculous. And Roger Moore in that scene is exhausted. By the end, by the time he gets on the boat, he's like, oh, no, ma'am, I'm with the economy tour. It makes me feel kind of sorry for Roger, really, in a way, but, no, I mean, give him credit where it's due. Roger Moore does give his best performance. Well, he gives his best to do a good performance, but he's physically, he is tiring, and you can see that in this movie, and it's a real shame. It dampens the pace of this movie slightly. For me, the rest of the action in the film is fine. The pre-opening title sequence is a good scene. I mean, it's nothing spectacular, but it's fine. It's better than the For Your Eyes Only opening. It's the part when they get the plane out, and it's completely unrelated to the plot. When Bond goes in that little aircraft and blows up the hangar base, and then he comes down to the gas station and he says, "Fill her up, please." It's not the most exciting opening, but it's fun enough. It'll do. Some of the action in the rest of the film is great. Like the scene on the train is amazing with Bond fighting the twins. The final fight in the palace, and then on top of the small aircraft, is very impressive, I must say. As well, you have got the yo-yo fight when Bond and Octopussy are snogging on the bed, and then the metal yo-yo comes down, and that's a really cool scene. As well, one scene I do love is the tuk-tuk chase in India. I think the tuk-tuk chase in India is fantastic. Speaking of that, this is the first time Bond has gone to India, and it's, as far as I'm aware, I don't think any other Bond film has gone to India. I'd love to see Bond go back to India. It was, from a locale standpoint, it's great, and it's nice. It's a nice bit of variety after For Your Eyes Only. Oh, another thing I have to mention: the title song. The title song for Octopussy sucks. It's shit. It's a stupid, sugary, soppy ballad called All Time High, sung by Rita Coolidge, who admittedly sings the song well, but it's so dreary. It's not a James Bond song. Who thought of this damn tune? It goes something like this. All I wanted was a sweet distraction for an hour or two. Had no intention to do the things we've done. We're an all-time high. We'll change all that's gone before. Everybody in the back, doing so much more than falling in love. See what I mean? That is not James Bond. The song on its own would, I guess, be fine, but because it's attached to the James Bond series and to Octopussy, I just don't like it. I just think it's one of the worst themes of the whole series. Actually, a few years ago, my friend Alan Caylow reviewed this movie, and in his review, he attempted to do his own version of the Octopussy theme song, which would have been called Octopussy. Now, I get that the producers probably thought the word Octopussy in a song would have been stupid, which is fine, but I'll let Alan demonstrate his own version himself.
Octopussy, Octopussy, she ain't a wussy, that Octopussy. Octopussy, Octopussy, she ain't a wussy, that Octopussy.
You know what, Alan? Bravo. That is 10 times better than what they came up with this film. Jeez, Christ almighty. The title sequence as well is very lazy. All it is colours with women holding guns, some neon lights with projections of the octopus symbol, Bond swinging the women around. There's another image of Roger Moore, and then loads of arms with guns going around him like an octopus. So yeah, hey, yeah, Octopussy. But it's very uninventive. It's just more of the same. I think Maurice Binder is running out of ideas very quickly, which is a shame. However, the music of the film is brilliant. John Barry returns, and I love the score for Octopussy. It is beautiful. Especially like the love theme that they play. The da 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 da. Of course, the love theme is written around the song All Time High, so it's basically a kind of scored version of that, which is nice. I forgot to mention in my previous review that the score for Your Eyes Only, I'm not really a big fan of it. It was very 80s disco, and I understand it was 1981, and of course the filmmakers were experimenting in a new time, so they changed the score up, and John Barry didn't score the movie, which is fine, but I just didn't like it. The MI6 regulars. Now, Robert Brown appears in his first film as the new M. Of course, Bernard Lee sadly passed away after Moonraker, so in the previous film, they had no M. They just said M was on leave, which was very nice of them. In Octopussy, we have Robert Brown as M. And he's not a patch on Bernard Lee. No way. No. Oh god, no. I think he's alright. I think he's decent as M, but he's far from my favourite. He's probably my least favourite actor to play M, but I think he's good enough. I mean, gradually, I think in License to Kill, that affirms him being my least favourite. For what he has in this film, he's good. I've kind of already talked about Miss Moneypenny, but I'll just say Lois Maxwell is good in the film, but again, I think she's getting a bit too old. The next film would definitely have to be her last, because she's looking a bit old for this role, which is such a shame. But at least it matches with Roger Moore, so I'll give it that. Desmond Llewelyn as Q is great. And I love the chance that they give him more to do in Italy. Like, he comes along to meet Vijay and gives Bond loads of gadgets and equipment. And there's that funny line that Q says when Vijay's like, oh, where's James? Is he still on the island? And then he says, oh, an island populated by women. You won't see 007 until the morning. Yeah, that's very good. I think the look of this film is great and much more appealing than For Your Eyes Only. Like I said, the fact that they go to India in this film is great. And I really enjoy the kind of the culture of India displayed on screen. I really want the filmmakers to go back to India in a future film. I know that in No Time to Die we're not going back to India, but after the Daniel Craig era, it would be nice for them to consider it. John Glen's direction is good, although I do think, like, again, some of the campier elements get in the way of the film, like Bond dressing as a clown, the Tarzan swing, the tiger moment, and I don't know. It didn't work as well for this film. For me, the pacing of this movie drags a bit. This film is 2 hours and 10 minutes long. I think it's a little bit long in places. It does feel a little tired at times because of Roger Moore trying to catch up with the rest of us. I do feel they could have chopped off at least 10 minutes of this film, and then it would have moved a bit quicker. Oh, I haven't talked about Vijay. Vijay is a good ally, but unfortunately they kill him off. He doesn't do an awful lot. He's better than Luigi Ferrara in the previous film. He lasts longer than Ferrara, but as I explained in the previous review, in each of the John Glen Bond movies, he kills off the ally. So, you know, we knew that Vijay wasn't going to last very long. But I mean, Vijay's death is actually quite graphic, although it's not actually explicitly shown, so it's not that graphic, but the implication of it is graphic. The guards are holding him, and then the guy with the yo-yo swings it down, and then he gets sliced in half. Of course, then the film cuts away to Bond afterwards, but still, the tension in that scene is pretty damn good. So I'll say I think John Glen's direction is definitely a bit more confident this time, but I still think Octopussy is a very mixed bag. So in conclusion, Octopussy, it's not a great movie, but it's good enough. It's decent, it's fun, but Roger Moore's age is catching up with him, and I think there are good things here, but there are also some things that don't work as well. So for me, Octopussy is scored at a 7 out of 10. So, that's my review of Octopussy. Thank you very much all for watching. Stay tuned next time when I review the 14th film in the Bond series, which is Roger Moore's 7th and final movie as 007, A View to a Kill. Next time on Bond Review is A View to a Kill. So stay tuned for that, and thank you all for watching, and as always, I'm Mr. TARDIS11. See ya.